Hey there, how's it going? Hanzilla here. Today we're doing a fun video where we're going to talk about building a setup from scratch, building a music setup from scratch. So I did something a few weeks ago where I talked about building something at $500. So we'll go through that one again, and then we'll do a couple other price tiers to see what, at least for me, what I'd build if I was starting from scratch. So a few things to take into account. This one will be kind of more on the DAW side of things. So if you're looking for a DAW-less setup, that's an idea. I might have to do a video for that as well. And then the other things to keep into account is we'll do some stuff that takes into account maybe buying used. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And then lastly is I'm in the Mac ecosystem, and I know some people have strong feelings about that stuff. So take that into account. Like if you're a little bit more savvy and you use PC and you can get more bang for your buck with that realm, then by all means go for it. I'm just not speaking on it because I don't really know it that well. So I started using Macs like probably almost 20 years ago when I just started tinkering around on GarageBand, and I just haven't really tried to venture away from that. So, kind of keep that in mind and take that with a grain of salt, and let's go check things out. Before we get rolling, a couple things. This is still a relatively new channel, so things that help support it is to click and subscribe to this channel, like the video, please share it when you can. And I have an affiliate link now. So with my local synth shop, since I'm based in Los Angeles, California, we've got Perfect Circuit. So clicking on the link to buy, any gear and that sort of stuff, directly helps support this channel if you click on the link in the description below. So please subscribe, and thanks for checking it out. First up, we're going with the $500 budget. So I think this is like a good budget. Yes, you could go even lower, like if you just want to go computer only, but we're talking about a budget with a computer and a little bit of gear. So we're going to start off with a MacBook Air. So a few specs that I'd be looking for is a 256 gigabyte hard drive, and then 8 gigs of RAM. So that should be enough to be able to allow you to use some plugins, as well as use some hardware with your interface, and you should be okay on RAM, and be able to record some stuff audio only, and make some great music with it. So it's also going to allow you to download some great plugins. There's lots of great free plugins out there. We're talking Vital, we're talking Mono Fury, and then I think it's OBXD. I'm going to edit this later to make sure I get it right. Your Oberheim plugin, or emulation, if you will. And then so we can hook up some hardware to it. I'm going audio interface. So you've got the Behringer Euphoria UMC22. So this thing is going to run you anywhere between 40 to 50 bucks, depending on if something's on sale or not. So great deal for a basic audio interface that hooks up via USB, so you don't need an external power supply. So just a nice option. I know you can start to pick apart audio interfaces for quality and stuff like that, but I'm a simple guy, so just a simple interface will work for me. To hear the music out of your interface, I like these Sony headphones. These are the Sony MDR 7506. They come with a carrying case, and they run about between $80 to $90. And you've got it comes with the 1/8 inch jack and the 1/4 inch adapter that actually screws on. As you will know, that these things get lost constantly, so I've got like a different one that's going on this right now, but I use these. I carry these around everywhere, and they're just a great go-to headphone. yeah, so definitely worth your while. And then lastly, because I want some hardware, I would go with the Uno synth. So I actually have never played it, but go check out tons of channels that talk about this synth. I'm probably going to pick it up just to demo it at some point, but it's a great mono synth from my understanding. You know, the buttons are kind of, from my understanding, kind of plasticky, and I think it is, you know, pads for your keys, but it's a bare bones synth, and I think used you can get one for $100. So just a great starter synth to you know, get your head wrapped around some monosynthesis. Combine that with the plugins that I mentioned, you're in great shape. And then DAW wise, at this point, since we're starting on a bare bones budget, I'm gonna say just stick with something that's super basic. Like you can get an intro version of Ableton, I believe, free. Or you can use GarageBand, which a lot of people swear by, and that comes on your Mac. So we're going to be talking about GarageBand a lot because we're not going to really jump into any particular DAW because I think that becomes a preference of yours, but GarageBand works just fine. So, so yeah, so that is your $500 budget. Like I mentioned, you've got the $250 computer. You've got somewhere between $40 to $50 for your interface. You've got $80 to $90 for your headphones, and you've got your Uno synth at around the $100 mark. And here's what I got for total right here, waiting on post-production. And yeah, so you might even have a little wiggle room in there to get some cables for hooking up your synths and that sort of thing. Because, you know, we don't want to do this budget thing and, you know, leave out details. You know, I see that with like cooking videos online where they tell you to do this with a budget and then you have to have all this extra stuff to go along. So we're talking about making music with the budget that we mentioned. So that's $500 and we're moving on. Next up, we're at $1,500. So $1,000 added to our budget. We're starting from scratch. What I'm going to go with first is bumping up our computer budget because we were very bare bones at $250. Again, we're going the Mac route. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. If you're PC savvy, you know, you probably get a little bit more bang for your buck. But yeah, so we're bumping up to $500 to see if we can't get that 8 GB RAM up to 16 gigabytes, and maybe even bump up the hard drive capacity a little bit. So I was able to confirm on Craigslist. Again, I'm in Los Angeles, so a little bit more options out here. But I was able to find you know, a MacBook in that $500 range to get that RAM a little bit higher. Next up, we're going to have a little bit more inputs for our audio interface. So in this instance, we're going with a Behringer UMC 404 HD. So you have the 4 inputs. You do need a external power supply for this, but you know, as you'll see, sneak peek, that we're gonna have a couple synths, so you can actually record some things at the same time, maybe even jam live. So we're just gonna have some more inputs for that. This is gonna run you, you can find it in different places for about $150. So with tax, because we're being real about our totals here, you're looking at probably about $165. Then we have we're gonna level up here, and we're gonna get a polysynth. So I'm going, if you've watched my 5 favorite pieces of gear video, I'm gonna go with my Dreadbox Nymphes. So you've got 6 voices on this thing. You do have to get around the interface, but you know, it's pretty simple once you get the grasp of it. And there is also software out there where you could have knob per function. I believe it's Tim Shoebridge that makes that with through like a Cherry Cherry audio module. Correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free to chime in on the comments there. It is a single oscillator with a sub oscillator, but I just think it's a great synth. It sounds so good, just with its overall raw sound, and it's a fun synth if you like the kind of vintage sounds, which I really do. So a great option. We're gonna do a bonus. So if we're going with Dreadbox because that's $500. You can actually find it on some other websites or use for in that $400 to $450 range, but I'm gonna just keep it at $500 on this one. But we're gonna go bonus because at $599, if we're just inching above $1,500 a little bit, instead of the Nymphes, we can go the Hydrasynth Explorer. So this bad boy. It's not an analog synthesizer, but if you want knobs to mess with, and if you want all kinds of different filter options, if you want 5 LFOs, like, this thing has so many different modulation capabilities, and if you're really trying to get into synthesis and learn stuff and have a hands-on experience, I couldn't recommend this enough. It's battery powered. It's and it's $599. I just saw it on sale at Perfect Circuit, affiliate link, at $499, but that might be over with their Black Friday sale. I'm not sure, but just a rad synthesizer. Can't say enough about it. It's even like you plug in headphones directly to this, you could just sit on the couch and make patches. So that's a good one if you want to bump up just a hair on your budget from the Nymphes. And then we're gonna stick with the Sony headphones that I talked about earlier in the $500 budget. So that way you have something that you can listen to out of your interface or on your computer, because what you can do is route your inputs on your interface in your DAW, and then you could come out of your computer speakers as well. But if you want to hear some higher quality, that's where your headphones come into play. And then lastly, we're gonna get a mono synth, but we're going to bump up just a little bit in price as well. I don't have one, so I'm not gonna physically show you. So you'll probably somewhere here when I edit, you'll see it. But a Behringer Model D, just a great synthesizer for learning synthesis at its basics. You won't have presets, but just take a picture. It's a pretty simple synthesizer. It's got three oscillators, and it's Behringer's take on the Model D. Take is probably a nice word for ripoff, but it's a great synthesizer. I might end up picking it up again here soon, but so we can't get this one brand new within our $1,500 budget. So we're gonna have to do some legwork and find one at $250. So $250 is going to be our budget for that. And so if you tally all that up, I'm checking my notes. We're at about $1,555. So yes, I did scratch, or I did kind of go above the budget a hair, but if you go used on the Nymphes, that's probably going to shave off that extra $50 to $100. That's going to get you under your $1,500 budget, and then get you that money that you need for cables. Because you could, in this instance, because you'll have 2 synths, you could definitely stand to get a 1/4 inch cable and then a stereo cable as well. So there you have it, $1,500. We're adding a synth. We're bumping up on our computer capacity, and then also more inputs. Next up, we've got $2,500, $2,500. So in the scheme of synthesizers, not a ton of money, and we're starting from scratch with a new setup. But here's how I'd build it. I've actually broken it up into 2 different options. Option A is we're gonna build a setup with a new laptop, and we're going to have some external monitors. And then option B is we still opt for the used laptop setup, and we skip the monitors and we stick with the headphones. But we get a bump up on synths because we'll have 3 different synthesizers. So Option A. So option A is we're going the new MacBook Air route. So you're looking at with the MacBook Air with the M2 chip. We're going to bump up the RAM. We're going to bump up the hard drive. After tax, you're looking at about $1,550. So it eats up a good chunk of your budget, leaves us with about 1,000 left. So if we were kind of taking into consideration our last budget 1,500, we kind of took up the same amount of money with, or same, we have the same leftovers when it comes to the not computer part. So I'm going to add monitors in, but take into account with option A and option B, like what you could potentially do to kind of mix and match these. But we're going to stick with our Sony monitors to listen to, our headphones to listen to on our own. And then we're going to add some KRK rockets. So you're looking at about $350 for a pair. You can actually, I think you might be able to see them in my background here, but that's what I use. I kind of, don't tell anybody, but I kind of break the rules, and you might be able to tell my mixes, but I like to mix with my headphones or in my car. But anyhow, these speakers work just fine. Look up tons of reviews on them. People swear by them. Of course, you could get much more involved and bump up to much nicer monitors, but these are fantastic for starting out. As you'll see with option A, we're a hair above the 2,500 mark, not too much. We're still within that $100 threshold. So you could probably pick these up used in order to stay within your budget. The other ones that I'm going to throw out there as monitors, I haven't used them, but they seem to be well regarded, are the IK Multimedia iLouds, which I think fall in the, depending on if they're on sale or not, somewhere between the 250 to 350 mark. So it might be an option to check out, but that's going to get you that external sound. So either the KRK Rockets or the iLouds from IK Multimedia. Those are also very small and very portable. We're going to stick with our Behringer interface there. And then it doesn't leave us a lot. So we've kind of bumped up everything. We're going to be mostly relying on like free software and stuff like that in order to make music. But we got to have one synth in there. So that one synth is going to be a bass station, a Novation bass station too. Just flat out awesome synthesizer, analog. You can power it via USB, external power supply. It works via USB MIDI. You have two oscillators. You have a sub oscillator, and it's just this synthesizer is just incredible. Novation makes some awesome stuff that I feel like it doesn't get talked about a ton, but this is such a great bang for your buck synthesizer. And like if you go on synthesizer forums and stuff, a lot of times you hear people like comparing this to like a sub 37 or something like that. Yes, the sub 37 of course can do more, but the fact that people are even comparing this like $350 synthesizer to that, I mean, that says something about this thing. So that's your option A setup. That puts you at about $2,565. So you're just a hair over your budget. So where you could potentially shave off of that is, probably your monitors, like getting those used or something. That'll probably get you right at that 2,500 threshold, because take into account that MacBook that I mentioned, I'm including tax on that. So option B at $2,500. Now we're looking at sticking to that used MacBook that we talked about in our $1,500 budget. So we're looking for a $500 MacBook where we're striving for 16 gigabytes of RAM. That's like when it comes to hard drive storage, we can find some other solutions as far as maybe like storing our data. So we're going to focus on the RAM, something that you can't really live without. We're sticking with our trusty Behringer interface. that we mentioned before. We're sticking with our Sony headphones. And I don't have one. I've got a Summit, but synthesizer-wise, we're going to go with the Novation Peak. So Novation Peak is it sounds so incredible, and the reason why I'm vouching for it, even though I don't have one, is from my understanding the Novation Summit is basically like a beefed up Peak with like double the voices and a few extra pieces, and of course the key bed. But it's just such an incredible sounding synth that I can't emphasize enough. It's a nice compact desktop format. You're gonna have 8 voices with that. You're gonna have the three oscillators with it, and you're just gonna have so much. You get such good instantaneous sound from it. That filter sounds incredible. The onboard effects sound great. It is an awesome synth, and I'm kind of inadvertently mid video recording here starting to realize that I'm kind of making a Novation video, but they're great, like all around synths. So like I feel like you've got kind of like your do-it-alls, and then you kind of start to venture off in these other realms with synthesizers and their specialty of sound. But if you just want to cover a lot of bases, I think this is where you go. So that's why I'm saying Novation Peak. And that's going to put you can find deals used if you really try to track stuff down, but I'm going to put it right at about $1,000 because you're going to have to go used on this route anyway. But to play it conservatively, like you could potentially shave off 50 to $100 and get down to 900, but used Peak at about $1,000. And then we're going to go, I got one of these because we're going to go into, you're not going to get the whole thing here, but we're going to go with this in my stack here, the Behringer Neutron. So this is going to allow you to have a synthesizer, but then also be able to start to experiment with some modular. So you'll be able to plug some cables in here and kind of start to get really weird with some sounds. So gonna have to go used route on this again because I think it averages about $350 new, but we're looking for a Behringer Neutron at about $250, which should be absolutely doable. And then last but not least, and we talked about it before, an option A is going to be the Bass Station again. So you heard what I said about the Bass Station, such a phenomenal synth, and yeah, it's going to be in your option B. And this option B gives you you're going big on synthesizers basically, and then still having that ability to record everything into your DAW. And one thing that I forgot to mention throughout the videos is like, we're not really budgeting for the DAW. Like maybe you add that on later, but for now you can get away with using a GarageBand or an intro version of Ableton or something like that. It's going to limit you a little bit, but you can at least play with the stuff that you have, and then you can budget, later for something a little bit more in tune. And everybody has their preference on what DAW they like to use. So this option actually gives you $100 of wiggle room at $2,355. So yeah, it's a great setup, and you really, option B, you really get the whole gamut when it comes to synthesizers. Not the whole, but you get a wide, that's a better word, wide gamut. So enjoy. Thanks for checking out my building a music setup from scratch with synthesizers. What do you think? Did I miss something? Do you want, like, is there something you have more information on, or would you build your setup different? I mean, this is synthesizers. Everybody's got a strong opinion. I want to hear yours. Please support the channel. I'm shilling now with my Perfect Circuit affiliate link down below, and please subscribe. So I'm having a blast making music for you all, and hope you're enjoying it. And if you want to hear me shut up, I do tons of no talking videos, so check those out as well. Thanks.